Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. Today I'm editing some photos I took in Lightroom. So I have a few of these that I'm going to go over today. So I wanted to go over the toning and add some nice colors to these and see what I could do. Because we have different types of light in each photo, like we have more light in this photo versus the last photo when it was the darkest out. I'm going to start with this one first, and then maybe we'll apply the colors and just adjust them throughout. So maybe we'll do that, or maybe I'll just switch it up. Who knows? This is not a final editing process. I always like to adjust the colors. To begin, let's adjust the contrast. And then we're going to increase the exposure. And these are all things that I like to adjust throughout editing. So what I'll usually do is I'll add in the color toning and then exposure, contrast. Those are usually things that I'll go back and then increase or decrease just based on how everything's looking. So highlights are also another thing that I either decrease just to get back some of the details especially. We do already have a lot of sky detail, but decreasing the highlights adds just a little bit more. I think I'm going to keep the whites as is. And then the shadows, I do like to bump those up just a little bit. The blacks, for me, this just kind of softens up the photo, so I am going to do just a bit. And let's see what this looks like so far. Just from those little bit of adjustments, that's what we got. So next we can add in some clarity. And I usually don't like clarity. I usually don't add it, but we'll add just a little bit. I do like to sharpen the photos quite a bit these days. So actually what we'll do is let's just go on over to sharpen. Oh, okay, that's kind of weird that it was already added. I did not do that. Lightroom's like, let me do everything for you. So now we're in the HSL, Hue, Saturation, Luminance tab. I'm on luminance and I'm going to decrease the reds. You can see that this changes the tone of the dress. Just makes it look a lot nicer in my opinion. I can even go darker like this. I love that tone of red. Sometimes I won't worry if I buy it. Like I thrifted this dress for $5 and I won't worry if it's too bright because I can simply adjust it in post. I'm like, I can colorize this in Photoshop. Hue saturation, that's fine. So I don't worry too much. We're going to keep orange as is. I'm going to go to saturation. And what I can also do is increase the saturation of the red. If you're someone who really wants a certain color to pop, like this red dress, your eye would go straight to it. So what you could do is just increase the saturation. Like if she's wearing a certain outfit color, you can just increase the saturation for that one specific color. Another thing that I'm going to increase the saturation of are the greens in the background. Let's see what the yellows do. Yellows aren't really doing that much for me. Let's just keep them as is. And then let's go to the blues. Wow, we can definitely pop out the sky. I feel like it would be too much with the red dress. So maybe just a bit. Let's do plus 15. And then aqua kind of adds in a bit. Like if you notice right here, you can see it does change the tone of the blue, which I kind of like. So we'll do a little bit of aqua in there. Otherwise, I feel like we're good on the saturation for now. Let's go back to luminance and then maybe we can play around with the greens. I kind of like the lighter green. If you pay attention right here, it kind of brightens it up a bit. But actually maybe it would look nicer. I don't know. Okay, actually let's keep it like right here. Now moving over to hue, I can also adjust the color of the dress, which is really awesome. If I wanted it to be more on the pink side, I could do that. I actually do like the tone of red that it's already on, but this is just a good option. Again, if you're having a model wear like a dress that's very vibrant, you can kind of focus on that specific color and adjust it to your liking. Taking a look at the green tab, as you can see, as I'm going back and forth, I can either change it to a nice yellow tone for all the greenery in the back, or we can do more of this blue green tone. So that's what I'm kind of debating on right now. I kind of like the blue green tone, so I'm gonna bump that up just a little bit. And then the aqua, oh wait, I was like, it's not doing anything, but I really wasn't even, it wasn't working. Like, is my computer all right? Are you having a moment? Do you need a moment? Okay. Okay, it looks like it's finally doing something. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, I definitely like this, that more like blue-green in the sky. So it basically doesn't look natural. Like if the sky looks fake, that's exactly what I want. Okay, let's go on over to the blue. Wow, okay. So this is where it's at pretty much. Let's not try to make it too, let's not try to edit this guy too much because sometimes you can't take it over the edge. So this is what it looks like so far. That's before, that's after. I feel like we need some exposure. That's what I was talking about. We got to bump the exposure up just a little bit. Just a bit. Maybe a little bit of contrast. Again, it's adjustable. Like nothing is permanent in Lightroom unless you export it. No, Lightroom is great for making adjustments. Too bad we can't do that in our life. I mean, you can make adjustments in your life, but I don't, like to what extent, I'm not sure. It's not as easy as it is in Lightroom. That's what I'm trying to say. Another thing that I want to do is enable profile correction. So this is basically just going to fix any distortion around the edges. I shot this with my 24-70, so there will be a bit of warping, and it just takes care of that. So that's before, that's after, and it almost brightens it up as well. You can see before there was a bit of, it was dark around the edges. So we just fixed that up, brightened up this entire photo. And then let's go on over to calibration. Now this one I want to be careful with. I don't want to do too much because sometimes I get carried away with this. So maybe we'll bump up the red primary. Let's just see what all of this does. Because that's pretty much how I learned doing this and editing photos, is by just toggling back and forth and seeing what each thing did to my photo. That's the only way that you'll learn. Okay, so I do kind of like this, the pink tone, just a little bit. But let's go to the blue primary. Because blue primary, I notice if you adjust the hue, it just gives you this very beautiful, like turquoise blue. Not really pink, still red, but it's a it creates very nice toning to the photo overall. I don't want that for this picture, but it's definitely like blue primary is one of my favorites. So what I'm going to do is I just want a little bit like this, like negative 13, like barely anything. And then you can also increase saturation. That's a little bit too much. Let's not increase anything for saturation just yet. Let's keep it at 0. Lastly, we're going to go to the color grading section here. And I want to add some warm tones. So these are the shadows. And I'm just going to add a bit of orange to it. I love how I'm talking slow because I can't see. I don't know if my computer is just not cooperating. What is going on here? Okay, there we go. I'm like, nothing's happening. I'm like, okay, let's do this, and nothing's happening. Okay, so I guess it's more on the yellow side. Can I just be honest here? I hate these circle. I hate it. Bring back the old, whatever the old one was. I don't even remember what it was anymore, but that's what I want. Can we just undo the update? Because I believe this is the newest update to Lightroom. They keep adding stuff, and I'm like, is this necessary? Like, it was fine before. But no, they're like, we need to act like we're doing something. Actually, sometimes they do make it better. Like, I'm just being dramatic. Okay, so the highlights. Do we want to add highlights? As you can see, I'm going through this. The blue is kind of looking a little interesting, but it is kind of looking a bit interesting. Like this tone of blue. Vote in the comments, I guess. I don't know. We can either do blue. I feel like it's either blue or yellow. And this is why I wanted to study more color theory, is because that would have really helped me decide a color that would complement this photo more. Maybe I'm kind of liking the blue. I'm not sure yet, but I don't want the saturation to be too high. What do you guys think? Let's keep it as is. I kind of like a little bit of blue for the highlight. Midtones. Should we? We shouldn't. Let's not even bother. So that's what we got so far. And what I could do is just go over anything else that I've done and just adjust it. As I said before, this is kind of the part where I go over small things, add in, such as the tone curve, which I didn't even really touch yet. Let's go over that just a bit. I'm going to bring up the darkest parts of the photo. Let's see if I can get a little bit more texture into this picture. Because if you have just absolute blacks, sometimes it can look a bit intense, which I guess it kind of fits with this photo. But sometimes I do want it more, I want it on the softer side, I guess. That's kind of looking interesting, this. So I'll zoom in here so you can kind of see. So when I'm lifting up the darkest part of the photo, if you take a look at the darkest part, so like the black, like right here, you can see how it's affecting. So I'll show you guys, like down here, we have true blacks, and then lifting this up, you can see it's being replaced with gray. So it's all about what you prefer as a photographer. There's no right or wrong here. You can do whatever you like. So I just like to play around with this. This is always like the hardest part, is just deciding little things, color grading. Like that's why it takes me so long to edit photos now, because I'm so indecisive. But tone curve, I like to do just very small adjustments on here. Also, if you're someone who doesn't like, if you want a photo that's a bit on the softer side, again, what you can do is just pull down the highlights. So if you notice on the highlights, like right here, it kind of fills it in with more of that gray. So I'll show you guys. That's regular highlight, just the white, and then it's being filled in. So just something that you can keep in mind while you're editing. So let's take a look. This is before, that's after. One last thing I want to do, and I just want to see how this looks, is go to the temperature and just shift it a little bit on the yellow side. Like, is it going to be uglier? I don't know if you see. Like, am I going to ruin this picture? Let's see. Because sometimes I realize I could make a huge difference just by adjusting the temperature of the photo. I'm not even really sure. Oh, wait, actually, you know what? No, I do want a bit of warmth. Let's do that. We added a bit of warmth, just increased it on the yellow side. And then maybe I will decrease the saturation just a little bit. Like literally -2. And what you could also do is select the color portion of the tone curve and adjust that as well, which maybe I would do. I don't know if that's too much. Sometimes I really do too much. But I do like to see what I can make it. And then if I don't like it, I can just take it off. And the blue tone curve is actually my favorite. What I usually do is just decrease the highlights, and it fills in this nice warm yellow tone. It doesn't look good with every picture though, I gotta say. One last thing I'm gonna do is in the luminance tab, just go to orange and decrease the luminance just a little bit. And maybe the yellows too. Luminance can really give it that nice look. It adds a little bit more dimension. I don't know, I might be just making stuff up or seeing things, but that's, in my opinion, that's what it looks like to me. I'm just gonna adjust the tone curve a little bit before moving on and pasting this into the next photo. So I would say this is pretty much good to go. And did you guys hear my cat meow? She's been yelling at me all day. What is it? What? You want to come sit next to me? You want to sit? Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear her. You guys, I lied. Can we just increase I didn't lie. I just changed my mind. Let's just increase the yellows on this right there. So we're still in luminance tab and we're good to go. And then the last thing I did is just I increased this point on the tone curve just to brighten it up a little bit. So that's what it looks like. This is before, this is after. So I applied the same preset onto one of my other photos, and this one, it was getting way darker outside. So I do have to make some adjustments as I expected. First, let's decrease the highlights and the whites in the photo. We can't get too much cloud back. I was trying to get the best f-stop for this, where it would still show the model and then the background. It was pretty tough. I wish I had a reflector. But we were doing this in like 5 minutes, so I did what I could. Let's make some adjustments in the shadows too. I guess I could brighten it up. I don't know if I want it too bright. I kind of like that bit of darkness on the subject. My friend Lovis, by the way, picked us up from the train station. Our train was late and it was a mess. So she picked us up. We went to shoot this in a hurry. She's the real VIP here. She drove us straight to the spot. She's like, okay, guys, we have like 5 minutes. Let's go through and make some adjustments, as I knew I would, just because the lighting, the sun set so fast. I mean, and then it started raining after this. I'm like, is someone upset up there? What's going on? So we didn't have too much time to shoot, but still think we got some good shots. So maybe I will increase just a little bit of the orange for this one. Or maybe just overall I'll increase the exposure, just something like this. Maybe I'll just crop it in closer so that the blown out sky doesn't show as much. Me trying to cover up my mistakes. I'm like, no one's gonna, like, who's gonna see the rest of that? And he still shows. You know, who cares? We got mostly this piece of the sky, right? Let's just include more of that. There we go. So we still see the beautiful background. Next time, maybe I'll bring like a little light or reflector when I'm more prepared. The saturation of the greens, maybe I will increase that. And then luminance, let's go on over and see what, okay, all right, no, do whatever you want. Okay, my computer you're gonna be replaced this year. You're just going too slow. Am I threatening my computer? I might be. I love this computer because it has two USB ports. That's why I'm holding on. But it's dangerously slow at this point. And this is coming from someone who lives with dial-up internet. I'm talking like I would start crying. I'm just joking. Like any millennials out there will know exactly what I'm talking about. The dial-up. I lived with dial-up, but I don't want to live with that anymore. I kind of miss dial-up low key. It made me really appreciate that. Made me really appreciate things. I don't know why I'm talking about the dial-up internet. I just feel like kids these days, they need to have dial-up internet. They need to know the struggle. They just don't. Like, have you really experienced the internet if you didn't do dial-up? If you didn't experience dial-up? That's my question. Let me know in the comments. So that is looking good. Let's go on over to one of my other photos real quick. This one right here, let's just paste everything that we just did and see how it looks. Wow. I think that looks fantastic. Okay. Only thing is skin tone, I do need to adjust that just a little bit. And at least the sky in this one looks great. So let's just decrease the saturation and the oranges for this one. Let's go to luminance. Brighten that up just a little bit. I know the saturation, we need to bump it up in the yellows for this one in particular because her hair, it was like this before. And then pay attention to her hair, and as we bump that up, we have more life in her hair. So that is looking good. So again, you just have to you can use the same colors, but you do have to make a bit of adjustments, which I'm very used to, and I usually do that. Just again, based on the lighting of the photo. One time someone told me to do a brush, and then I bump up the size. I bump up the exposure and contrast, and then I select a color. I just selected the temperature, and just to add a little bit more color into the photo, like a color bubble. That's kind of nice. And you can add it into random, you have to be careful using this though. I don't know if I necessarily like it on the bottom, but near the model's face, near Lovis's face, it looks beautiful. Adding just a bit of color to the photo. So, I mean, I guess I could add it right here. Okay, no, you know what? I don't want to do too much. I like it as it is there. So added just those two little bubbles right there, and I'll show you what it looks like without. So if I press this, that's what it looks like before and after. Just a little thing to make your photo pop. And then I'm just gonna paste this onto the last photo in the bunch. Before we continue, a quick message from our sponsor, Squarespace. Whether you need a domain, website, or an online store, Squarespace makes it easy. They have an all-in-one platform that is super easy to use, customizable with tons of award-winning designer templates, and they offer 24-hour customer service support. They have features like appointment scheduling, customizable image galleries, and even email campaigns to engage your audience, which you can take the hassle out of creating the perfect website that fits your needs. So whether you're a photographer like me that needs a portfolio site to put all these images on, or you just have a small business, they have something for everyone. You can head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Jessica to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Now let's get back to editing. So I just pasted everything I just did onto this last photo, and you can see that the color bubbles pasted on as well. Is there a way to adjust where they are? Yes, we can. Okay, that's pretty awesome. So let's, adjust it. Are you going to show me? Oh, there we go. Let's see without it. Oh, I think with it is so much better. This is so much nicer. Again, I simply copied and pasted all of my adjustments onto this photo. Wow. So it's just so simple, and it really adds to the photo. Again, I just adjusted the temperature to make it warmer, and then I used the brush tool. So I added another bubble here and one on the side. So let me show you how that looks. So that's before, and that's after. It adds this beautiful warm glow to the photo. I think it looks great. I'm like, everyone might hate it, but I personally like it. So last adjustments on this. I don't think we're getting back too much of the sky. I kind of flopped that. I did what I could with the f-stop. Next time we got the reflector. Everything else looks great for this photo. Maybe I'll simply crop it in. Maybe I'll just crop this photo in like this. So that's a before, and that's after. It was a lot of fun editing these photos and bringing them to life, adding in colors, making adjustments. I love editing in Lightroom. It's a lot of fun. It's very relaxing. So I really hope you guys like these final photos. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I would love to thank you guys for watching.